All right, hello and good morning, everyone. Fed League Flash here for Saturday, November, September 28th. And we are continuing on with our team previews for the upcoming season. Today we are looking at the three Western teams from the Empire Division. Of course, last weekend we did the four Eastern teams. And so here we go. All right, we are starting off with the Dashers. We cannot legally call them the Danville Dashers because of trademark restrictions and whatnot. So they are Dashers Hockey. That is the official name. This is their inaugural season because even though the Dashers existed previously with a different iteration in the FPHL, this is a different entity, even though it's the same ownership and the same front office. It's kind of a strange situation, but nonetheless. All right. Last season, of course, was the 2019 to 2020 season that was cut short. And if you know your Danville history, you know the rest of the story. So, what? Bonehead is trying to make a point here. All right. We have an interesting roster. Dashers had a very difficult time with the expansion draft. It's been a challenge to recruit players. You know, Danville is a bit of an outpost for the league geographically, so that plays a part in the things. But nonetheless, we do have a mix of some former Dashers players and a lot of rookies, a lot of newcomers, a lot of new players to the Fed. So let's get right into it. Okay, with the forward group, Justin Browson, he's 363 games of experience in the Fed, 365 points, 204 goals, which ranks fourth all time. He is one of only four players in Fed history to score 200 goals. So he's got a good scoring touch, and the Dashers are going to need that this year. Ricky Green, he played a few games for the Dashers back in 2018 to 2019. So he is back. He is another former Dasher. Let's talk about Evan Carroll for a minute. Yeah, he's been playing in the MIHL, which is the Michigan Independence Hockey League, kind of a senior A type of league. But he's probably been the best player that the MIHL ever had. 38 games played, 115 points. So the Dashers are really going to need his scoring touch. This is a very, very inexperienced team on the whole. Other forwards you're probably going to see in the lineup: Bryce Friel, Eric Kaufman, Johnny Bonta. He's played with Danbury in the past. Thomas Murphy. And then everyone else, it's kind of like it's up for grabs. There's a lot of people competing for a forward spot, including Zachary DeMars, Jason Demzak, Trey Fisher, Ryan Keir, Yosuk Jumanji. I love that name. Yeah. And of course, Austin Weber is now listed on the roster. I don't know if he is going to sign or not. They could use him. They could really use a player of Austin Weber's caliber on this lineup. For the defensive group, let's start off with Brad Denny. Probably going to be the team captain, I would think. He served as team captain with the previous iteration of the Dashers. 190 games played, 116 points, so he can contribute offensively from the blue line as well. Last season was the 2016-17 season. Excuse me. Also, Connor Mullins is probably going to be a key cog on the blue line. played 10 games last year with the Mississippi Seawolves after an excellent career at Mackenzie University. He was the captain of the team. Um, so, young gun, so to speak. Other players that could factor in the defensive lineup are Jacob Gagnon, Quentin Roseboom, and if he signs Vladislav Pavlov, that's the question. Is he going to sign? Other young players trying out for the defensive group include Ricky Regala. Well, he's not a young guy; he's been around the Fed before, and Sean Doyle. So the blue line, quite a mix of experienced players, not experienced players, and goal. You got unproven goaltending this year. The de facto number one is, and he's the only goaltender that has signed the standard contract so far, is Oscar Wahlgren. Played last year for Port Huron, played 3 games, went 2-1 with a 4.07 goals against. Other rookies that they have are Robert Alport, Elijah Gibbons, and Parker Rutherford. He does have, 18 minutes of Fed experience. Some notables that were drafted and have not signed are Sam Merritt, Parker Layton, Ivan Sergeyev, and Brandon Stoycevsky. Again, it's tough to recruit first year. There's 7 players on this roster with MIHL, extensive MIHL experience. So this is an extremely, as far as professional ranks, inexperienced group. It does look like they have some decent pieces on their defensive core. That seems to be their strength. But yeah, the goaltending is extremely unproven. And they were really behind the 8 ball because the team was formulated late, had a hard time with the draft, and it's going to be a rough year. We can't beat around the bush with it. We'll just say it's going to be a rough year. But pro hockey is back in Danville, and that's reason for excitement. And as the season goes on, the Dashers could end up being this year's version of last year's Baton Rouge Zydeco. Zydeco started off very rough, had a very, very tough start, and then as the year progressed, they became better. And that can very potentially happen here with the Dashers. Best case scenario, I think they're a 6th place club if things go well and they progress decently and rapidly through the year. They can probably finish 6th. A worst case scenario is a 7th place, last place finish. Most likely it is 7th place. But again, that's nothing to despair about. Again, Baton Rouge, they at the end of the year they were a competitive club. Maybe Coach Tess kind of gets these guys to gel well, and things turn out much better in the end than at the beginning. So there we go. All right, Port Huron Prowlers. Last year went 28, 22-6, 84 points, 4th in the East, or fourth in the Continental. Excuse me. They lost 2-1 to Carolina in a game that went to overtime. Heartbreaking loss. Played Carolina very tough. And that's a reason for optimism, is Carolina ended up going to the finals, and they pushed Carolina to the limit. So we'll see what happens. Looking at their forwards, okay, they have Evan Foley, captain. He had 36 points in 51 games. His scoring kind of fell off a little bit from last year, so hopefully he can rebound well this year and play well and be a major contributor offensively. Matt Graham, of course, he's the team captain, he's the GM, he's the head coach. He's been around a long time. 387 games, 327 assists, which is second all time in the Fed. 465 points. So, yeah, 35 points, which is a very realistic goal. And he could become just the fourth person in Fed history to become a member of the 500-point club. That's big. 50 points, and he jumps in the third place all time. So, Graham's still ticking. Tucker Scantlebury. This guy can be an X factor. If he plays with discipline, he's got great offensive potential. He's great on the power play. He's just got to stay out of the box. Other players that you're going to see make the team, I think, Dan Chartrand, Austin Federle, Luke James, who played with Elmira a bit last year, Isaiah Paris, Vincent DeCumbus is back. Just got traded for. Other players that you could see challenging for a spot are Gavin Fleck, Jeremy Rancourt, and William Strombeck, who just got traded for as well. On the defensive side of things, Alex Johnson, he's been around too for quite a while, 348 games played. He is third all-time as far as defensive men with points in the Fed. And he's a power play specialist. Most of his goals come in the power play. So he really helps the man advantage situation. Brian Parsons, he's looking to be a big part of the club as well. 203 games of Fed experience, 65 points. So he can chip in a little bit too, but he's a defensive guy. As is Adam Heinzel. You're also looking at Brett Lockhart probably making the team this year. Played a few games last year. Other players that hopefully we can see in, if he signs, Brandon Deck, Dominic Laubert. Right now, Ben Brockway is called up to the SP, or it's a parallel move. I know it's single A, blah 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 blah. Big guy. He could be a big help if he ends up with the Prowlers. 6'3". He could be a major part of the blue line. The goaltending. This is what really concerns me with this club. There is not much depth at goaltender, even though there are 5 or 6 players that are going to be in camp. You got Makar Sokolov. He signed. He went 8-6-3 last year, or 357 goals against. He had some really good games. He also had some games that weren't so good. And then you have a whole bunch of unprovens that are trying out for the backup spot. You got Patrick Aalto, played at Dartmouth. You've got from Japan, I should have put on my glasses, Yoshihiro Kuroiwa. I think that's how you say it. It's Kuroiwa. You have Valtteri Noisianen and Jacob Tugnut, son of Ron Tugnut. But Jacob, he hasn't stuck around anywhere for very long. He's bounced around in a lot of different juniors and college teams. So, it's a concern. It's a concern. A lot of players not with the team currently. Right now, Liam Freeborn is up in the SP. Dalton J, of course, retiring. That's a big loss. That was a lot of offense lost. So far, we haven't seen Connor Foley or Mitch Jones or Jake Vaughn. Well, Jake Vaughn's called up to ECHL. We haven't seen Ian Wallace. We haven't seen Braden Deck. We haven't seen anything about Tucker Timon. And this was the main reason why the team was competitive last year. Tynan was their best goaltender last year, and they need him. I'm not sure what is going on as far as why he's not signed with the team, but the team needs him. That's a priority. All right. So as we look at things again, the defense looks pretty strong. Yeah, could be even better if Jones ends up signing. But with forward, they lost so much offense with Jay and Freeborn now out. Can they find enough goals? That's the question. Can they score enough? Goaltending depth, it's very worrisome. They need Tynan. Sokolov, either that or Sokolov needs to become the next Brian Wilson. All right. Okay, so the unanswered question is, did they lose too much from last year? Right now, as I look at the team, I see that they could finish as high as fourth, which would be the first wild card spot, where they would play that one game plan. If they can't get enough offense and if the goaltending struggles, they could fall as far as sixth. Most likely scenario, I'm seeing this as a fifth place club. Now, I do have to make an amendment of sorts. Last week, when I covered the Wolves, Watertown, I thought they were going to be the fifth place club. I'm moving them up to fourth in my most likely predictions. I think Watertown has a little bit more depth than Port Huron overall. And so I'm thinking Watertown is most likely going to be the first wild card. Port Huron would be the second. All right. Then we move on to the Motor City Rockers. Rockers had a good season last year, 33-19-4, 97 points. That was second in the Empire. They ended up losing in the second round to the Binghamton Black Bears in an overtime game. But they had a very good year, and most of the team is coming back. Okay, there's a little caveat we'll talk about in just a minute. All right, with the forwards groups, there are some newcomers, but there are a lot of guys returning. We got TJ Delaney, 26 goals and 5 power play goals last year. If he catches fire and scores like he's shown he's been able to, he could be a 40-goal guy. Avery Smith, he joined the team late and played the last 9 games of the year, and he was a spark plug. 7 points. He could be a big offensive contributor. And then Jonathan Giuliano, it looked like at the end of the last year he was going to hang it up. He decided, you know what, I want to come back for another game, for another year. That's wonderful. 356 points in his career that spans 379 games. So Giuliano, obviously a big part. He's part of the heart and soul of the team. Other forwards you're going to most likely see on opening day, Chris Siolik. You've got Tristan Wells is back. Sam Gagnon. You have Cody Oakes has joined the team again, or rejoined the team. He played with Motor City the first season. Danny Vanderweel. You're also going to see some competition for a spot between guys like Chris Buys, Clayton Hightower, Theodore Roel, and Marianne Pazitka. Have a couple missing faces that would make a big difference, I think. On the defensive end, you have Tim Delaney. He's signed again. Ryan Rotondi is back. Mike Wynn is back. Devin Fields is back. Nicholas McGill-Diaz. He's had call-ups to the SP, of course. 24 points in 30 games for Nicholas, plus 16. And then Jameson Milan. This guy just... supposedly he's 40 years old. That's what the birth certificate says. I think he's really like 27 or 28. Because this guy still brings it and leads every single year, every single game. Uh, 42 points in 56 games. That's the other thing. He played all 56 games last year. So he's coming back as a 40-year-old. And in a recent interview, I said basically, he said, I'm going to play till they carry me off the ice. So good on him. Jamison Milan, big contributor to the Rockers. John Will Campbell might challenge for a spot as well on the defensive line. So they're in good shape there. The goaltending. This is the caveat that I wanted to talk about. Okay, Ricardo Gonzalez has to be considered the number one goalie, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. All right, last year he progressed leaps and bounds. Really from December on, he just became better and better and better and better, and really proved himself to be that go-to guy. Because the question was, well, if Babin's not here, can Rico hold down the fort? The answer is yes. 12-9 last year, 402 goals against. But he had a rough start to the year, and so if he didn't have the first 2 months, his numbers would be a lot better. Trevor Babin, he's signed, but he's also got a foot in the ECHL and a foot in the SPHL, from what I am hearing. It sounds like he basically just signed to make sure that he had a fallback. It doesn't seem like his plan is to be in the Fed. If nothing else pans out, he's got this to fall back on. But with that kind of mentality, that's why I say really you've got to consider Gonzalez as the number one guy. And again, I think that Rico can effectively be that number one guy. So Babin's in the mix, but whether he actually puts on the purple, black, and white, that's another story. Because right now he seems like he has multiple irons in the fire. All right, other players that are trying for position: Bryn Sommerfeld and Noah. What is that? Mawkish. My pen kind of faltered on me. I'm sorry. Anyway, Noah Mawkish and Bryn Sommerfeld, both highly considered. Their numbers are great. Their career numbers are good. Notables that are missing from the roster: Scott Koash. He is gone. He got traded. Josh Colton hasn't signed yet. Will he come back? Last I knew, he was undecided. George Holt, we're still waiting to see if he signs. Same with Pavel Svintsov, who was a pleasant surprise last year, and TJ Sneath. If those players end up signing over the next couple of weeks, that would really help out this team big time. So you look at the team, there's definitely not Scotty Koash. He was the offensive leader the last couple of years. Maybe no Babin, but I think they're going to be okay. Gordie Brown has a great system in place. He likes to have his defensive guys join the rush. So they're very potent on offense. You can never sleep when the puck is in your zone and you're facing the Rockers. Again, Gonzalez has really progressed very, very well. I think he's going to be that number one guy. You have a large group of the core from last year returning, so that's good. You've got chemistry in place. The question is, can they generate enough offense? We know what they can do. We know what they're capable of doing. We know that they're not going to give up a lot of goals. And, having that experience, they're one of the most experienced teams in the league. That's going to go a long way to carrying them to playoff success. So best case scenario for the Rockers. They are the one team in the Empire that could potentially unseed the Black Bears for first place. They have that potential. Worst case scenario, they're not scoring enough goals. They're struggling defensively. I could see them falling down the fourth. I think these guys are a lock for the playoffs. But most likely scenario for them, I am projecting a second place finish for the Rockers, which would mean home ice advantage in the first playoff round. All right, so to recap the Empire Division, most likely, this is my look at my crystal ball prognostication. I won't call them predictions because, again, I've said a best case scenario, worst case scenario. You never know what's going to happen. But most likely, I think we have Binghamton as their top team, then Motor City. The Hat Tricks would be third, Watertown fourth, Port Huron fifth. Those two teams would be playing for the wild card. That they'd play that wild card play-in game. And then sixth place, I got Hudson Valley. Seventh, I have the Dashers as most likely. So there is the Empire Division in a nutshell. Tomorrow, we will look at the four Eastern teams of the Continental Division, which are Athens, Columbus, Carolina, and Blue Ridge. And we talked about it last week. Continental Division is stacked. It is a tough division. So let's see what we end up with those four teams. We'll talk about them tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to comment down below. Let me know what your picks are. Who you think is going to finish first, second, third, etc. in the Empire Division, and what you think the outlook is for these guys. All right, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.